So the Dodgers now, because they're in full panic mode, have announced that on July 30th, they're going to have a Christian Faith and Family Day at Dodger Stadium. So, I mean, is anybody buying this? It wasn't on the original schedule. Now, they did do this, to be fair and accurate, which I always am. In 2019, they had a Christian and Family Day at Dodger Stadium. But now they're panicking. And so they're going, oh, don't hate us. We'll have the Christians in. So my question is, Dodger, are you going to have a Jesus bobblehead? Is that what you're going to do like this on Christian and Family Night? So everybody knows why they're doing this. But what you don't know is that the marketing director of the Los Angeles Dodgers is a gay activist. That's why this is all happening. And when do you hear about Target? I'll tell you about Target after, in a while. Okay, so the Catholic clergy largely silent on this. You surprised? I'm not. But there is a Catholic group called Catholic Vote, and they are teed off. Roll the tape.
Our organization exists to give Catholics a voice, especially on fights like this, where woke corporations like the Los Angeles Dodgers have decided to honor and celebrate a detestable, vile, and perverse anti-Catholic organization. We have announced a boycott of the Dodgers, but more than that, we can't simply stop there. We are raising money to launch a $1 million campaign starting next week on all LA Dodgers-related media.
All right, so that group is based in Madison, Wisconsin, of all places. And they're going to put out ads, and when we get the ad, they haven't made them yet, we'll show you what they're doing. So at least there's a Catholic group standing up to this. But to counter that, the California Senate in Sacramento says we'll honor the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence too. The elected senators of California are going to honor this Christian Catholic hate group. All right? So this is a war. Now, this is a war. So we wanted to get the most influential cleric in the United States to come on the No Spin News. His name is Timothy Cardinal Dolan, Archbishop of New York. Okay? The Archbishop, who I know very well, I have a good relationship with him. I think he's a good man. He's not coming. In fact, he didn't mention it. He's on TV every day. And mentioned it. Then we called the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, run by the Most Reverend Timothy P. Broglio. They didn't even reply. I think that's a little uncharitable there, but they didn't reply. They couldn't even bother to reply. However, we got, I think, the smartest Catholic cleric in the country, and here he is. His name is Bishop Robert Barron. He's presiding over the Diocese of Winona, Rochester, Minnesota. He is the head of Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. I think that's World on Fire, right? World on Fire?
No, it's Word on Fire.
It's Word on Fire. Yeah. Shame on me, because I follow you. I should know that, but I'm delirious. So, Bishop, thanks for stepping up. First of all, your general feeling on this Dodger, now California Senate honor to this group. How do you see it?
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, this was so egregious that's why I felt the need to speak up. I did so in the social media world, on Twitter and so on. But it was such a extreme example of anti-Catholicism. I don't know how the church couldn't respond. So I wanted to use, my social media platform to do it. That the California state government is honoring this group doesn't really surprise me. I was auxiliary bishop of LA for 6 years, and we dealt with the government out there a lot. Anti-Catholicism is indeed the last acceptable prejudice in America. But I think it's time for the church boldly and clearly and articulately to stand up to it.
But it's also Christians, not just the Catholic Church. When you have a strip show featuring Jesus and Mary, that's beyond Catholic borders into Christianity itself, correct?
Yeah, quite right. I mean, the one that really got my attention was, I think it was on Easter Sunday, they had a display where they took the figure, it was a living figure, off the cross, and then another person did a kind of pole dance on the cross of Jesus. So here's the most sacred event and object in the Christian universe, and it's being, in a public, gross way, mocked about as horribly as possible. Well, how do Christians, I think you're quite right, not just Catholics, how do Christians stay silent in the face of that?
You know, Jesus overturned the moneylenders' tables in the temple in a righteous demonstration of anger. And that's what I'm doing here in the media. I'm trying to emulate Jesus of Nazareth in a sense that I'm trying to say enough. But when you have powerful forces like the Senate of California, the Los Angeles Times, which applauds this group, the Dodgers, and on and on and on, and then you have no reply from the most powerful Catholic clerics. They are emboldened by that, Bishop. These people who are attacking Christianity are emboldened by the lack of reply, that turn the other cheek and ignore it, right?
Yeah, well, of course, turn the other cheek has nothing to do with, non-resistance to evil. It's a form of resisting evil. The church should speak up, and it should engage the laity. So what you're doing, I think, is what Vatican II had in mind, that great Catholic journalists and writers and cultural commentators should engage these issues. Under the leadership of the bishops and through the sanctification offered by the sacraments, but all the Catholic laity should be aroused about this. I'll give you an example, Bill. A few years ago when I was out in California, they were making noises about passing a bill that would require priests to break the seal of confession around the sex abuse issues. And I remember saying at the bishop's meeting, I think, brothers, we gotta draw a line in the sand here. And so we did. And we roused our own people, and they flooded Sacramento with so many petitions and complaints that they backed down. And I think it proves we can do it when we have the will and we have the focus. And this woke business has gotten so out of control, and this is a prime example of the church just being knocked around in the public space. But it's not just the priests and bishops, it's the Catholic faithful, the laity, that have to say enough.
Okay, but they have to know about it when you have the three most powerful broadcasters, CBS, NBC, and ABC, blacking. Were you surprised they didn't even cover this story?
No, I'm not surprised by it. No.
Do you think they're Do you think those networks are anti-Christian?
I think there's an element of that. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't make bold to speak too much further about that, but I think I'm not surprised, to answer your question, that they didn't put that in the forefront of their coverage. Somehow it's okay. It's always open season on Catholics. God knows we've been through our struggles, and I wrote a book about the sex abuse scandal and all that. But it doesn't mean that, therefore, we can never raise our voices in protest, especially when we're being attacked in this extremely aggressive way.
Don't you think that the clergy at the top, not just in America, but all over the world, is afraid? I mean, I know Dolan pretty well. I with all due respect to him, because I said he's a good man, I think he's afraid. There's no other reason why he would remain silent.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't, presume to speak for him. I don't really know. My former boss, Archbishop Gomez, out in L.A., made a statement about this. A handful of other bishops have indeed spoken out. But I wouldn't presume to speak for anybody else.
Okay, and I understand that. I'm an infidel, so I can do it. Two more questions.
Sure.
I told my audience I would never go to another Los Angeles Dodger game again in my lifetime, but I've reversed it. They're coming in to play the Mets on July 15th, and I'm going, and I'm going to stand up in my section and boo them when they run out on the field. I mean, I'm a Catholic laity. That's how I'm going to protest this. And you're right.
Yeah, well, I called for a boycott. I was out there for 6 years, a lot of friends in L.A. In fact, I threw out the first pitch at a Dodgers game about 5 years ago. Love baseball. I know a lot of my Hispanic friends, of course, who are big baseball fans. And I said, I think until we get a formal public apology, there should be a boycott of the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm not a boycott guy because that's a fascist technique, but I agree with you that individuals should make up their own minds. And why are we giving an anti-Christian team, even though they have the Faith and Family Night? So I'm going to try to get.
It didn't convince us, though.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get the Jesus bobblehead if I can, and maybe they'll send one to me. so transparent.
It didn't convince us. It was rather a pathetic response.
How do people get in touch with you, Bishop?
Wordonfire.org is a good place to access all the material that I have, and they could, contact me directly that way too.
All right, and full disclosure, the bishop and I know each other, and I bought him dinner in Santa Barbara, but he didn't eat a lot, so it was good.
I remember that night. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bishop. We really appreciate your courage and you coming on the program. Thank you very much.